Welcome to Tech Talks. Our security edition today is focused on a new Splunk playbook, Suspicious Email Domain Enrichment. Tech Talks is a series of short webinars that are deep dives for technical practitioners. We value you, our customer, and want you to continue in your Splunk journey. Our experts help create these best practices, and we want you to leverage them in your daily role. I'm Olivia Courtney, a security product marketing specialist, and I'm excited to share this information with you about Splunk Phantom, along with my colleague Phil Royer. Despite the myriad pathways to initial access on our networks, phishing remains the single most popular technique for attackers. A State of the Phish report reveals that nearly 90% of organizations deal with business email compromise attacks. End users reported 9.2 million suspicious phishing activities globally for the year. The open nature of email and our reliance on it for communication make it difficult for defenders to classify messages, so it's no surprise that suspicious email investigation is a top use case for automation. So we released a new community playbook for Splunk Phantom to help enrich suspicious email events. This playbook focuses specifically on domain names contained in the ingested email, and it uses Cisco Umbrella Investigate to add the risk score, risk status, and domain category to the event in Splunk Phantom. When an analyst is assigned an event, this will allow faster recognition of the purpose of the email, and the domain enrichment will also provide a connection point to take further action on the output. I'll pass this over to my colleague Phil Royer to show you how this playbook works.
Hi, this is Phil Royer from Splunk. Today I want to show a new community playbook called Suspicious Email Domain Enrichment. This can serve as the first part of a phishing use case in Phantom. The goal of the playbook is to look specifically at the domain names within the suspicious email. So the playbook is going to extract some domain names and use those extracted at ingestion time of the email. It's going to use Cisco Umbrella Investigate to gather reputation about those domains. And then it's going to format the result and post it as a note to the event. So let's show how we can get this playbook set up. If I go in to edit the playbook, I'll see some missing assets. I'm going to resolve that by configuring the new Cisco Umbrella Investigate asset. So I'll call it Umbrella Investigate, drop in the API key, which I got from the UI of Cisco Umbrella Investigate, save it, and test it. There we go, it's working. So back in the playbook, it sees that I've loaded that in. So I'm just going to choose the asset name that I created. And once I save the playbook, it should be good to run. Asset configuration. Okay, so now let's step into how this playbook works. So the first thing it does is it gets the full text out of the event. So everything in the container, the event, and all the artifacts within it. And that's in a short custom function. Then we use another custom function from the community to use a regular expression to extract all those email addresses, which also pulls the domain portion of the address out. So that looks at everything from the email headers, everybody in the from field, and the forwarding addresses along the way. We also use the destination DNS domain path, which is artifacts that were extracted upon email ingestion. From there, it passes both sets of those domain names to the domain reputation action, checks those that respond with a status that's not non-malicious, meaning we're going to ignore known good domains going forward. And then it builds two sets of notes, which are tables of the domain, the status, the risk score, and the category. %% is used in the format to show multiple copies of a piece of data in a format block. After that, we add notes to the container showing the format block that we created, and the playbook's done. So from further playbooks, you could automate on those results, but for now we're just going to enrich it for the analyst and let them make a decision. So now let's show an example of this playbook running. I'm going to use IMAP for email ingestion. We also have G Suite, Office 365, and Exchange. For now, I'm going to do pull now, just to get an example email. hop over to my analyst queue. I should see the email come in. Survey to inform our strategy. That's the email subject. So taking a look at it, you can access the body of the email. We can see we extracted one domain from the email that came with a URL, securesurvey.cloud. So that's allegedly the survey link for some kind of an annual survey. But our playbook ran, and the artifact domain rep action shows a risk score of 83 for that domain, according to Umbrella Investigate. And the status is basically unknown. Now, we also ran against the email addresses, or the domains from those addresses, and those risk scores were much lower. Gmail.com is a well-known webmail provider, but it's also interesting that that did not come from a corporate email address, so it could be suspicious that you're receiving email like that. Now, over in the summary is where we pull the notes in. So an analyst might come here first and see the output of the playbook. That risk score of 83 is shown, so that might attract some suspicion. And if you wanted to automate on a further playbook, you could, but for now, that's all we do with this playbook. So the last thing I want to show is how to get the playbook. If you're on your playbook listing and you update from source control with community, if you didn't have it, it would come in like that. And then you can just search for it, suspicious email domain enrichment. That's our newest playbook. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. We're about ready to wrap up this tech talk, but before we do, I wanted to share quick resources available to you to continue your journey. We have another community playbook that uses the network resolution and web data models in Splunk Enterprise to search for web traffic related to a phishing email, which would be a natural complement to this playbook. The SOAR playbook and feature video YouTube playlist has additional videos like this for you to learn more about automation and orchestration. And Phil's blog, Splunk SOAR Playbook Suspicious Email Domain Enrichment, will give you a description of what we talked about here today. Don't forget that we have an incredible community of Splunk users on our community site. You can search the answers section on security. You can continue the conversation for this talk within the discussion section called Tech Talks, and you'll find the additional resources there. Finally, there's Splunk Ideas, where you can submit new product enhancements or vote for current ideas from other customers. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedules to join us today. Please tune back in for future Tech Talks. We're excited to share this series with you.